Well, my name's Maeve and I'm drama tutor for Limerick City VC. So I work mainly in community education. So I was around when the first wider benefits of learning came up, and I thought it was great too. Initially, when I saw it, I thought this is a tool that works for me. It works for the student, and it works for the VC. So as I approach a class anyway, so if I'm told, right, you're coming into this community, I find out what the needs would be within the class, how many people are going to be in the class, and what's the focus. And it can change from group to group. You know, drama, you sometimes go in as a confidence building exercise, sometimes it's to devise a play, a film, or whatever. So this actually helps with that process. So while planning my own class, you know, I have a general idea of what I would be looking for. So I kind of look at the outcomes. What kind of an outcome would I want for the particular class? So I have my plans made to go in then on the first day, and I sit down with the class, and we've done all our forms and everything else, and I explain to them that over the course of the class that we will do the wider benefits of learning, and that it's simply a system for us to find out how they felt when they were coming into class and how they now feel at the end of the process in 6 weeks or 10 weeks or however long the class is. And I always ask them, what do you want from the class? What is it that you want to gain? And in my field, it can be confidence. It can be, I want to get out of the house in the morning. It can be, I want to act. You know, I want to be famous, has come up, you know. And we break them down, you know, because some people have stronger motivations and stronger ideas. So I say, well, let's break this down to the 5, you know, that we want to at least put in 5 here. And so with, in particular, a class I've just finished with now, we'll write them out, what are those? And I keep an eye on them. We park it then for a little while, and I'll fill out the forms in advance, then I have those ready. So I put out the outcomes as we've discussed in the class, and then over the weeks, they're there in the back of my mind. I'm thinking, are we fulfilling those goals? So they're a handy tool for me to keep reverting back to saying, am I doing those things that I wanted to get from the class? And then on the last day, I will bring all the forms in and I'll say, remember these? Remember those that we did a few weeks ago? And I kind of leave it the last 15 minutes of the class. So at the beginning I'll say, we're going to fill these out today. And I do take the flip chart, and I think that that's a very useful tool. So I have the flip chart and I say, you know, wider benefits of learning. And we do have literacy skills and that to be concerned about as well. And it's good to write stuff down, but spell it out as well and say what things are. So say, remember those thoughts that we had, and I'll write them down, and it might be play, confidence, challenge, friendship, and I'll pop those on the board and I'll say, we're going to come back to that now at the end of our session. And so at the end of class then, I am very much at pains to tell them this is an anonymous process. I'm not going to get into trouble for you filling out this form. This form helps me, you know, as much as it will help anybody else. And I give them that little bit of time to, you know, go into the outcomes. And sometimes there's confusion. Is that a happy face or a smiley face? And we go through all that. And I say, no, that's, you know, how did you feel? Was it at the lower end of the scale or the higher end? And I take them very anonymously from people as well. Let's shift one here, and just so that they know that I'm not thinking, oh, that's coming from Marie. You know, I'm going to check what she had to say about me afterwards. And I'm very much at pains within my classes always anyway to say to people, you know, this is a place of trust. You know, you're comfortable. Everything's going to be fine. And so they seem very happy to fill them out. And so then that information is collated then at the end of it. I thought it would be a great resource for me. I was never afraid of, you know, oh God, these will be going back into the community education office now and they'll be saying, well, she didn't get a great result in that one, because I know how students are, you know, and they're very different individuals, and I personally didn't feel that this was going to be something I was graded on, and it was a useful tool for me, because I was able to say, oh, so you really felt that nervous before you came into my drama class, and that gives me the tools then to say, well, I need to be more aware of that some people have a problem with getting up and doing things. Now I'm always, in my class, I will always say to somebody, certainly in the beginning, you know, you're going to learn as much from watching as you're going to, you know, from taking part, so just watch for the moment. So they do have that security anyway. But it's just another box that takes to be aware of that. So for me it was great, and I suppose it's very rewarding to see that somebody is saying, well, I was a 1, I was terrified to come into this class, now I'm a 6. I'm getting up and I'm talking at my 60th birthday and I'm giving a speech and telling people thank you for coming. And that's a great journey to see for somebody. So for me, there is a certain sense of, I suppose, a fulfilment. You know, I've done my goals and what I was meant to do, and my student has reached their goals. I'm very lucky in that where I've been so far, I've had flip charts and things like that, and you kind of just go about the room first and see if it, but if it didn't, I'd write it on a piece of paper, an A4 sheet of paper, and I'd pass it around, and I'd make it work. I mean, you obviously need access to your computer, you need access to a printer, and we're very lucky. I make full use of the self-access centre here, if I need to print off, and I'm in drama, we do a lot of scripts and that, so I can come in, print off my stuff, print off the wider benefits of learning forms as well at the same time. So for me there was no challenges from that part, because it really is, it's quite a simple, once you get into it, it's quite a simple process, but you can make the changes. You can ask your area centre, have you got a flip chart, have you got a marker? I used a crayon today in the class that I was in today, and it worked. So once you have that, and once you can kind of make use of facilities and make sure you get them printed off for them, make sure you fill in your name already. I like to have it pre-filled in. I like to have the outcomes that we've agreed on with the class typed in for the final class, so they're not having to write all that in as well. They're just going in to do their how I felt before, how I felt afterwards. When they turn the page, my name is down the end, what my course subject is, what date the date is. They're not having to go to that extra trouble to fill that in. I have it all there and ready for them, typed out, so it's neat. I don't have to read my scrawl. Well, firstly, I always, because I always go into a class and we always decide what we're going to do within the 6 weeks, 10 weeks, however many weeks it is. It's an easy route into that. I'm used to doing that. So I tell them I said this is a tool that the VC use, because we don't do, particularly in my scheme that I would be working under, we don't do the FETAC QQI or anything. So there's no, I suppose, finding how we've gone from A to B. There's no grading at the end of it. Yes, I make films and I do drama with them, so there is an end product, because we often show that, but you can't show somebody in an office that. So I explain to them, this will show your journey, how you've found the subject, whether you've managed to get from A to B and found yourself way up here. Whether you're, if you go in at 1 and you're still at 1, then I'm not doing my job correctly. And I'm at pains to tell them that, if you're still at 1, then something's happened somewhere along the line. And they understand that, and they're quite accepting of that. And there are sometimes they kind of go, oh God, how do I feel? And I don't know what to do. And that's very personal. And you just explain and say, well, it's anonymous. You don't have to put your name on it. Feel free if you want to put your name on it. And we will, look at our outcomes now, what we want to get from the class, and then we'll look at it further down on the last day. And they're very accepting classes, and particularly when they know there's a certain degree of paperwork to be done anyway, they understand what has to happen. And as long as you leave enough time to explain it clearly, and if someone says I don't get this, say we'll have a chat about it afterwards, and I'll talk you through it and help them with various different things. And some people look at you going, I don't write, and I don't want to tell you that I don't write, and I know this. And my classes are very practical. We don't tend to use pen and paper a lot. We're getting up, improvising, making characters, doing all that without a script. So that red flag isn't there straight away for me, but you very quickly know how people are managing or struggling. So I also say, look, I'll help you. I can provide assistance with it if needed. And they're happy with that, I think. I think for them, it's a summary of where they are and what they've done. And in particular, today now, I was working with a group, and we had the discussion on it before we did our drama class. And I just said, look, we're going to meet this now at the end of class. We'll take 15 minutes. And I was planning to go on and do a game, and this lady put up her hand and said, Maeve, no, I don't want to move on yet now. I just want to tell you something. And she told me how she was so nervous about coming to the class. And this is a group that they meet every week, and they might do drama one week, they might do something else, at another stage. So she still wanted to be part of the group, but was very nervous about the drama part of things. And she jumped up today to do exercise, and she said, I feel far more confident to get up. And she's looking forward to it now. And for me, that's fantastic. And another, this is hilarious, another woman, she's brilliant. We did a role play exercise inside in class, and where she was at a bank, and I said, you have to close your account. You're not going to listen to the bank manager now. You are closing this account, and you're not to take no for an answer. And she took this out into the world and closed her account. They won't be happy with me, but she closed her Bank of Ireland account the week after. And they were like going, well, you can't, have you got your card, and you can't close without your card. And she went, no, but I'll go and get it. And she went back the next day with the card and closed the account. She said, I wouldn't have done that. And I thought that was an amazing thing to say. Her journey has really gone from a 1 to a 10. no question. So she can see that as well, and they were relating their own circumstances to the wider benefits of learning today, which was super for me anyway. Well, last night I printed off all the forms, so I had them all ready, and I tend to print them off. I try not to waste paper, but I tend to print them off in 2 separate forms. For me, it's clearer. For them, it's clearer. You know, sometimes the double flip one, they're kind of backwards and forwards with it, and especially if it's upside down and it's that way. So I kind of like printing the first one, printing the second one, and I'm very good with not wasting paper a lot of the time. So that is important. I think it looks neater and tidier for them anyway. So that's the first thing I do. So I already knew going into class today that we were going to approach this. So I usually wait till we're having a cup of tea maybe. And, you know, a lot of my groups would have a cup of tea when they first come in. And before we hit into the big class, I'll say, right, remember our outcomes that we were going to do and what we had to learn over the course of this? Well, here we are. We're back here today. And so I'll take one of the forms and I'll hold it up, and I've got the page open with the graph. And I'll explain. I'll say, remember our first outcome? You know, which was, for instance, we're going to learn how to make a short film for International Women's Day, which is that's up there. So you have to describe to me, you know, how you felt before you thought you were going to do that. So that's over here. And then you have to tell me how you feel now. So that can be, you know, you're grading it from 1 to 10 and 1 to 10. And 1 is kind of least happy with where you are at the moment. And 10 is you're in a good place. And so that was fine. And we went through the outcomes and I read them all out again and checked around. Everybody's happy. Fine, that's gone. Then I go into the next one. And again, this is the more daunting one for them. They actually have to write in their own thoughts and feelings. And I said, you know, these bubbles, and I explained it's about how you feel in your community, how you are in your family, how you've advanced in all those various sectors. And I do encourage them to use words as well, that it's not just sentences, because I think words can say so much, you know, confidence, skill, friendship, the crack, you know, the various different, you don't need to write once, I had the crack, or, you know, I made a friend. One word can tell it, and they don't have to feel under pressure to write a full sentence. And I'll explain, you know, we're going to fill in those later on, and they're your own feelings about how you feel that the process has changed you maybe, or helped you in society, or helped you at home. And any questions, so I'll ask them, is anybody, how do you feel about that? And do I put my name on it? You get the various questions back and you reassure them, no, you don't need to put your name on it. My name's at the end of the form, it's all typed in, so there's no problem. Any more questions? And then this relayed the story then today about the bank, and I had no confidence. And I said, that's great, put it down when we come to it. So we put it away then when we go through our normal class as normal, and then about 10-15 minutes, or as people have to leave, and sometimes people have to leave at different times, I say, right, here's your form. You know, let's get it filled out. And at that stage then I go to the board, and I will turn to the group and say, what words did we have? What were the thoughts that we had? How did this make you feel? And while they're filling out the forms, people will be, you know, challenge, friendship, all the various different things, drama, improvisation, fun, thinking, creative, and I'll write all those words up. And I actually, because a lot of people won't tell you if they have a literacy problem, and especially in the older age groups, they won't tell you at all, and they don't want any help with it either. I will, you know, even today, there was 2 words I was going, is there an A or an L in personal, you know, and they'll tell me back. But it's also great because it lets the group know, some words I'm a bit, you know, kerfuffled over sometimes. Do we put all those? And then I give them that time, give them that quiet time, and I always say, I'm here to help. I'm here to help. And I don't go around and say, can I help you? Can I help you? Can I help you? Because we're in a good place at that stage of the class, that I know that there's a great element of trust there, and if they need help, they'll ask for it. The wider benefit of learning gives you that kind of, I suppose, the relief. You can go, okay, yes, this is working. What I do does not have just the value of entertainment, which is great as well. You know, drama is there to entertain, and for people, it's very rare somebody says it, but somebody does say it, I want to be an actor, I want to be famous, you know, and I often say, you know, no, this is, you know, we're gonna teach you how to create characters, how to do role play, you know, if you want to be famous after that, off you go, you know, and I'll give you the tools, hopefully, that'll get you on the road. But I think from a class plan point of view, the wider benefits of learning is very good for keeping you focused, keeping you on track. Not that it wouldn't be anyway, but it's another tool to help you with that. And you do need to have clear, concise goals, what you want from a class. It's not just enough to roll up, teach the class and then go. my classes kind of stay with me a lot, you know, whether I'm driving home and I'm thinking about them, or even when I'm preparing the classes, I'm thinking in terms of what the limitations of my own class are. And I think this helps, you know. One of our goals was to do a film. It took us 5 weeks to do it, you know, the end product is there. And now they're going to get to show that for International Women's Day. That's pretty fantastic for a group that had never mind sat in front of a camera, spoken to a camera, or seen themselves on film in that way. So, you know, we see the goals coming along and we see the end result. And I think there is, the wider benefits of learning certainly helps you keep that in check, which is important. We all need to be kept in check to a certain degree, you know. Don't be afraid of it, embrace it. It's a very good tool and it'll be very useful within your classroom setting. I would say in the first class, introduce it straight away, because you're going to be doing learner registration forms, you're going to be doing all of that, so you might as well introduce it, you know, take 5 minutes even, you know, have your form, show it to them, no fear, this is the form, we're going to fill it out in the last day class, and you know, it's going to be a guide for you, and it's going to be a guide for me, and it's going to be a guide for the VC. And I would then talk through what your goals are. So introducing early, not to be afraid of it, keeping in mind what the goals were, so that when it comes to the last day that you haven't kind of veered off track of actually what the outcomes were. And then on the last day, you know, introduce it back again. Remember where we were? We're going to do that now today. And also, I think, don't just dismiss it. Read the information yourself. Go back over it and take it on board. Take it on board what people are saying. And, you know, it's a great tool. So I would definitely don't be afraid of it. I suppose it's my top tip. You know, there's no fear factor in it at all.